Good evening, everyone. Before we start our program, at the moment across the whole country, we are commemorating the victims, the hostages, all of the fallen with 1 hour of 1 minute of silence. So I ask everybody please to stand up to observe the minute of silence along with the entire country. Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone, to the Michael Levin Base ceremony. The Michael Levin Base is an incredible organization that takes care of our lone soldiers in this country. And for somebody who immigrated to this country, I can tell you, imagine coming from around the world and serving in an army on your own without your parents to do your laundry, to make you food, to go on the weekends and take food for you, to have a place to go on Shabbat. To serve in the army is already so hard. So imagine you're coming from the other side of the world and you're serving in the army on your own with no family. And this is why the work of the Michael Levin Base is so essential to our lone soldiers. And I'm very proud to be associated with this incredible organization. We are here in the Friends of Zion Museum, which is another incredible organization that I'm very proud to be associated with. Only yesterday, we were here having a ceremony for the 7th of October with our evangelical Christian friends from all around the world that came here through cancelled flights to be here with the Jewish people in our time of need, in the middle of a war. The last few hours, we have been attacked from 3 different countries. These are not normal circumstances that we're going through right now. We're in the middle of a war. And October 7th has changed us all forever. We can think about our lives before October 7th, and we can think about the reality of our lives after October 7th. But for the rest of our lives, this is the moment that we understood what our ancestors went through, that we can get a little taste of the persecution of thousands of years. Something we thought we'd never see, certainly not in our own sovereign country. The barbarity, the savagery of that day. This was the reason why we have a state of Israel, so that we would never have to go through that again. And yet, it happened in our doorstep. And so, today, I'm very proud to be marking this very significant, solemn, and sad day with all of you and with the Michael Levin Base. This is where I feel at home. 35 lone soldiers have fallen in this war. I've been to a number of shivers, and it's heartbreaking. You speak to the parents, they're like my son, my daughter, they insisted on moving to Israel to serve in the army. And here they are, paying the ultimate price for that sacrifice. We're all going through collective trauma. Some of us closer, some of us further away, but make no mistake, the whole country is going through collective trauma. And we can't even begin to start the recovery process of what we went through whilst we still have 101 hostages in the dungeons of Gaza. And so I hope you can all pray with me for the return of those hostages as soon as possible, for winning this war that we didn't start, that we didn't want, and for bringing peace, quiet, continued development and thriving for the Jewish people and the state of Israel. If we have one little glimmer of light in everything that has happened, is the resilience that the people of Israel have shown, the way that people are already looking towards repair, renewal, and the way that all around the world people have woken up to their Jewish heritage and have developed Jewish pride that we thought we hadn't seen. And so we've paid that price, but we can see these little glimmers of hope. But it's not enough. The 7th of October should not have happened. And so we're here to mourn together, to commemorate together, and to look forward to a better future. So, my first speaker is actually the director of this wonderful museum. Daniel began his professional journey here in the Friends of Zion Museum in 2015 and became managing figure by the end of 2019. He's the CEO of the museum, promotes values of giving, friendship, and Zionism, which guide him personally and the museum, and they do incredible social activities, especially supporting Holocaust survivors. They also support security forces, orphans, and widows, and since the war, these efforts have been extended to include evacuees, which they've had in their small hotel here, bereaved families, and families of hostages. The museum is also engaged in advocacy, working to enhance international support for Israel and fighting anti-Semitism. Daniel Wojcik.
Distinguished guests, lone soldiers, and B'nai Shirut, Bonnie and all the staff from the Michael Levin base, bereaved families. Abram in Genesis 22 responds to God's call, Hineni, here am I. Abram's response reflects his readiness to follow God's command, even in the most challenging circumstances. Abram's strong trust in God is especially clear when he's asked to sacrifice his son Isaac, showing his full commitment to God's will. This moment also marks him as the father of many nations. The Friends of Zion Museum tells the stories of brave individuals who made the courageous choice to take a stand rather than remain passive observers. They declared, here am I. In the past year, we witnessed so many stories of soldiers, civilians, families, fathers that declared without any hesitation, Hineni. Over the past year, we had the privilege of meeting and hearing the stories of bereaved families, families of hostages, and countless heroes. I want to share with you one specific story that touched my heart. On the morning of October 7th, Aner Eliakim Shapira and his friend Hirsch Goldberg Paulin were at the Nova Music Festival in Reim when Hamas militants attacked. Amid gunfire, Shapira and others ran to a missile shelter. Despite the chaos, Shapira reassured those inside that help would arrive and stood by the entrance prepared to throw back grenades. As militants fired into the shelter, he heroically threw 7 grenades out. By the 8th, exploded in his hands and killed him. His actions saved lives, while his friend Hirsch Goldberg Paulin lost his hand and was taken hostage and later found dead. Our founder, Dr. Mike Evans, met Aner's parents, Shira and Moshe, a month after Aner got killed, and heard their story.
We have 7 kids. Our oldest is Anil. It's very hard to talk. He's a great person. He loves justice. He loves music. He loves people. He loves art. He makes art. He makes music. He comes from love, and maybe you can continue because it's very hard for me now.
Since he was a small child, he always, he protected the when he saw somebody in stress or somebody it was against racism or any kind of evil that he saw. He was always focusing on protector, and a very moral guy. He wrote about that. He sang about that. He left us like 100 songs that he wrote the music and
Produced music.
Yeah.
What was one of your favorite songs? Do you remember it?
A song about Jerusalem.
From
He loved,
Book of David.
Yeah, he loved Jerusalem.
What were some of the words?
אם לא אעלה את ירושלים על ראש שמחתי. If I
Forget you, O Jerusalem?
Exactly.
Let my tongue cleave to the roof of my
Exactly.
mouth.
His dream was to make an album of his songs and to spread his music. And our mission now is to complete his dream.
So October 7th, we had a meal, all the 7 kids, and we all sat there and we said how pleased we are. And after the meal, he went with his friend, Hirsch Goldberg, that is now kidnapped, to the festival. And we got there something like 1 o'clock in the morning. Around 6 o'clock in the morning, they start seeing rockets in the sky, and they start heading to the cars. And a few minutes before that, his commander called him, and he told him that he should come back to the base as soon as possible with the soldiers. But then on the highway there, the Hamas started shooting on the street, so they entered one shelter, and when he entered there were already 24 people inside. All the people there were in panic.
Yeah.
And he came and said, "My name is Aner Shapiro. I'm a combat soldier. Don't be afraid. Everything is going to be okay." And one of the girls there that survived, she said that the moment he said that, she shouted, "Aner, we are so pleased you came here. We are relaxed." So This was a reaction.
So first of all, he calms down.
Comfort them.
Says, I will protect.
I will
Everything
protect
will be
you
okay.
all. Yeah.
But then they start hearing shootings coming close. Then they start hearing the shoutings of the in Arabic of the militants. And what happened is we have an amazing picture. One of the survivors sent his location to his father in order to rescue him. By mistake, he pressed the button of the
camera
of the camera in his cellular, and he took pictures. You see all the people on the ground covering their heads
like this.
And at the entrance, you see him standing, Aner.
Only one.
Only one. And they start throwing grenades inside. And what's amazing is, this is another gift that we got from God, that the camera from a car that was outside started filming it by an accident. You see the terrorists coming, throwing grenades inside, then running away. And you see him throwing the grenade outside.
Pick
explode
the grenade up in his own
in
hand.
his own hand and then throw it on the terrorist.
Not
Realize-
once, not twice, not 3 times, 7 times.
Not one, not two, 7 grenades.
In the 8th grenade, he held it in his hand, but it exploded in his hand.
Yeah.
And then he was severely injured. And then they started shooting, and they saw that there's no reaction from the inside, so they called in Arabic the people to go outside. They took out 4 people that are now in Gaza. Among them, his friend Hirsch Goldberg, that his arm was cut.
That's the one you said went with him.
Yes. His friend that came from
best friend.
Jerusalem, his best friend.
How many people?
You only to say thank you because of your son, I'm alive, and my friends are alive.
I owe my life to your son.
He stood up and he threw those grenades back. He was an angel. This is a very, very, very powerful story about an amazing young man filled with life and love and music and gifts, who wasn't thinking about himself. He was thinking about others, wanting to help others. And we have to stand with Israel. We need to stand up against the lies of the leftist Jew haters, the ones who are glorifying evil and are trying to justify evil. We need to stand up against those. We need to stand up in support of the state of Israel in every possible way, for the victims of terror, for all of those displaced people, for these soldiers who we are helping also. And we need to do everything we can. And God bless you for coming and sharing your heart.
Thank you for all what
Thank you,
you're
and-
doing.
It is my honor. A group hug. God bless you.
Thank
Thank you very much.
שב ילדי שב, אל תלך עכשיו, תן לנשום אותך עוד רגע, עוד קצת. שב ילדי שב, כי עכשיו נחמד, יש שקט ואני איתך לבד. וכשתלך תזכור תמיד לשמור על עצמך, מאנשים קשים אשר עומדים במסלולך. אל תפחד, מעל ראשך יש מלאכים, ואתה תמיד תהיה גיבור של אמא. אתה תמיד תהיה לי מלך העולם, תמיד עם החיוך הכי מושלם, כמו בתמונות, בזיכרונות. בכל מקום שלא תלך תהיה של אמא, תמיד תהיה לי מלך העולם, תמיד עם החיוך הכי מושלם, כמו בתמונות, בזיכרונות. תמיד תהיה שלי. לך ילדי לך, היזהר מעט, קח את תפילתי, את ברכתי איתך. אל תשכחני, אמא כאן בשבילך, אז לך תגשים את כל חלומותיך. וכשתלך תזכור תמיד לשמור על עצמך, באנשים קשים אשר עומדים במסלולך. אל תפחד, מעל ראשך יש מלאכים, ואתה תמיד תהיה גיבור של אמא. אתה תמיד תהיה לי מלך העולם, תמיד עם החיוך הכי מושלם, כמו בתמונות, תמיד תהיה שלי. לכל מקום שלא תלך תהיה שלי מה, תמיד תהיה לי מלך העולם, תמיד עם החיוך הכי מושלם, כמו בתמונות, בזיכרונות, תמיד תהיה שלי.
The pain is almost too much to bear. Our next speaker is Benjamin Zev Rosenstein, the former lone soldier who went down on October 7th and served for several months. Benjamin is a former management consultant currently pursuing a master's degree in business administration and public policy. He was called down south along with other officers in his unit on the morning of October 7th and spent 10 months on active duty.
First of all, you all can call me Busy as opposed to Benjamin Zev. Right. So I'm actually going to start off. Okay, so I serve, until recently, I served as a platoon commander in an emergency reserve unit, specializing in combat zone search and recovery. On August 27th, 2023, I and my fellow platoon commanders held an officers' meeting with our CR, commanding officer, to plan an upcoming training exercise for both new and experienced soldiers. 3 days for officers and commanders, and 2 days for soldiers. The date we were to arrive, October 8th. Little did we know what was in store. At around 7:45 on October 7th, we received word from our CO to pack a bag and begin to check in on our soldiers. Within a few hours, staff were already on our way down south, where we set up a war room to begin to plan for what we would find out was to come. Once we established where we could and would begin our operations, as well as communications with those already on the ground, we set out on the way to Highway 232, and what we would soon find out had been the Nova Festival. Over the next few weeks, for a few days and few weeks, we would conduct operations throughout the southern kibbutzim, turning our attention to searching for indications of the fate of those who were not yet accounted for. Once the incursion actually began, we continued operations within Gaza, and before we knew it, 3 days had turned into over 300. I'm just going to finish by saying that throughout the war, throughout everything, I never once doubted my professionalism, the professionalism of my soldiers, my ability to make tactical decisions, or my soldiers' ability to carry them out. What was hardest was deciding who was able to go home, when, and for how long. Could I extend the soldier from up north with 5 kids whose family is, constantly under bombardment and going into the mamad, mamad, bomb shelter, right? Or would that affect the soldier from the Merkaz, from the center, whose wife at the time was 6, 7, 8 months pregnant? She's since given birth to a beautiful baby boy. What about the unmarried soldier who he's got, studies or work? We can't forget, we have to worry about married soldiers, but also single soldiers. But I will say that one thing that always gave me comfort or encouragement was something that one of my commanders in my own basic training said. He always used to say, first be a person, then you can be a soldier, and then you can be a commander. We always need to remember the human cost of the soldiers as well. Thank you.
The bravery of these young men and women is astounding. I don't think you could find a country in the world that has the brave soldiers that we have here in the state of Israel. Kol hakavod. Ari and Shir Rubel have 3 children and live in Jerusalem. Ari serves in Sayeret Givati and was in reserve duty for over 280 days in the past year. They're here tonight to share how they've both experienced the 7th of October and the meaning of being a family with the father in reserves for over 9 months.
So as said, my name is Ari Rubel. I'm married to my lovely wife here, Shir. We have 3 beautiful children. Eitan, the oldest, is 5. Shaked is 3. And Maya today is 1. The 7th started like any other Chag morning. Kids were excited, going to the grandparents for a Chag meal. Should be fun. When the first siren went off in Jerusalem. In the beginning, we just thought it was another message to us to ruin our holiday, just like the Jerusalem Day Parade. My wife debated opening up her phone to see if there was something important that we needed to know. By the second siren, we both knew something was off. She turned on hers and told me things were going on down south that I just didn't believe what I was hearing. There was no way what she was saying was true. She then told me, I think you should go and turn on your phone. Another siren hit. Then I got back from the bomb shelter. I turned on my phone, and my cell phone just lit up like a Christmas tree. I had 3 missed calls, obviously the army. I called my officer. Ari, can't talk, come immediately down south, we're at war. I looked at my wife, and she looked at me. What is it, she said. I need to go, there's a war. I stripped off my Shabbos clothes, I put on my uniform. My then 4-year-old looked at me and said, Abba, where are you going? I looked at him while still packing quickly any essential items I would need, not knowing when or even if I'd be back, and I said, Abba has to go. Before heading out, I gave everyone a big hug and a kiss, and I left. 5 hours later, I found myself afraid, confused, horrified, in a daze, and part of a bad dream. I was in the front lines, repelling our enemy and rescuing civilians under fire from their homes in Nachalos.
Last kisses and hugs, and he leaves the house. And suddenly I realized that I'm alone. I'm sitting at home with 3 kids. The younger one is just 3 months old. I was shaking, afraid, worried, in total shock this was happening. I look at the kids, see the fear in their eyes, and realize that now everything is my responsibility. With siren continuing, I know I must be strong and not break down, not in front of the kids. Me and Ari always talked about what if, but never truly thought it would happen. I did not understand fully what was going on, what shapes our life will take, how long this will be, and what part I will need to play in it.
Since October 7th, I've been out of the house fighting in Gaza for over 9 months. I missed 9 months of mornings with the kids, pickups from playgroup, dinners, and story time before bed. I missed my youngest first crawl, then walk, and then with the blink of an eye becoming one. When I would come home for maybe 72 hours and try to help Shir with the youngest, Shaked, she would cry each time in my arms. She did not know who I was. When I left, I knew it would take Shir 2 to 3 days to get the kids back into a routine. Each time I came back, I felt like a stranger or a foreigner in my own home, in my kids' life, and in my own life. Over time, I missed holidays like Hanukkah and Passover, not to mention countless Shabbases. I stopped everything in my life and left behind 3 kids, a wife, and family. I miss smachot of family and friends, and sadly, even funerals and shivas of friends, which 2 of them were showing up here on the screen. I would not have survived this period without the support of the true hero of my story, my wife.
Time passes. I decided to extend my maternity leave. I hardly left the house. I was 100% with the kids, cleaning, tidying, feeding, playing, dealing with crying and angry outbursts, hugging and kissing. I drew more strength from them than they drew from me. Every day I pushed myself to cope better and with more strength because the thought always crossed my mind that I might have to do it alone for the rest of my life. During the day, I kept my mind occupied, but in the evening, after the kids went to sleep, that's when the fears crept in again, the concern, the worries. What's going on with him? Is he okay? When will he contact me? Finally exhausting myself in front of the screen until the middle of the night, just not to face the empty bed. As time went on, it became routine. Ari came and left the house for short visits, usually 72 hours, and then alone again. The hardest moments were explaining to the kids why Abba could not stay longer, answering questions like, is Abba safe? Do soldiers die in a war? How do you shelter a kid from what's going on? And explain at the same time when you yourself don't understand. I returned to work again despite my fears and realized how much work will help me and gave me meaning. I realized that it would be a long time, and I decided to focus on what makes me feel good. I discovered strength in myself I didn't know existed in me. And besides that, I also let myself fall apart when I needed to. What was also a great source of strength for me was the support I got from family and friends, in addition local non-profits and individuals who constantly, and still till this day, go above and beyond to care for Reserve's family.
As we sat down to write this, we struggled with how to summarize the past year. Should we focus on personal hardship we faced, the national crisis we endured, or the strength we found within ourselves and each other along the way? The truth is, our story is not just about us as a couple. It's about all of us, everyone in this room, everyone in this country. On October 7th, when the sirens rang, hundreds of thousands of us answered the call. We left behind our lives, our families, our safety, all to save an unknown other. We stood together as one nation, side by side, and we fought for each other. But the battlefield wasn't the only front. This nation answered the call in so many ways, fighting for hostages, may they all come back soon, supporting soldiers' families, opening homes, hotels, and hearts to evacuees from the north and south. Communities bonded together, turning tragedy into strength, making sure no one was left behind. We all stepped up when it was needed. We, all of us, are the message. We saw the bigger picture, beyond our personal struggles, beyond our daily lives. We answered the call, and we keep answering it for as long as it takes. That's why I'm still answering the call that came in just last week to return down south. That's why my wife, standing right here beside me, even after all this time, knowing the cost, supports me. It's because of people like you that this incredible nation finds the strength to carry on. As we reflect on today's story, it's a story about sacrifice, fear, uncertainty, but also of resilience, 100%. Also about resilience, unity, and hope. In the face of terror, we stood together not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. This nation is built on the shoulders of its people, those who answered the call and those who kept the home fires burning. We are from different places and different backgrounds, but in moments like these, we are one family, one heart. As I return to the front lines once again, I do not do this with hesitation, but with pride in the people standing beside me. For our children, for their future, we will keep fighting, keep hoping, and keep building towards a day when they will know peace. Together, we are building hope for a better and safer tomorrow. Am Yisrael Chai.
מוצאות סיבה ללכת, הימים והלילות, כמו הפנים שבתמונות, הכל עוצר מלכת כשאתה לא כאן. מתעוררת מחלום, מרגישה אותך קרוב, ואז קוראת לך מתוך הלילה, תחזור, תחזור היום. כל כך רציתי שתגיע, הלוואי תבוא בלי להודיע עוד היום. אני מגדל שלו, ממרחקים ששוב תופיע, הלוואי תבוא בלי להודיע עוד היום. השעות העייפות שלא נותנות לזמן לרוץ, הרגליים הכבדות שלא מוצאות סיבה ללכת, הימים והלילות, כמו הפנים שבתמונות, הכל עוצר מלכת כשאתה לא כאן. מתעוררת מחלום, ומרגישה אותך קרוב, ואז קוראת לך מתוך הלילה, תחזור, כל כך רציתי שתגיע, הלוואי תבוא בלי להודיע עוד היום. אני מגדל שלו, ממרחקים ששוב תופיע, הלוואי תבוא בלי להודיע עוד היום. תחזור, תחזור היום. כל כך רציתי שתגיע, הלוואי תבוא בלי להודיע עוד היום. אני מגדל שלו, ממרחקים ששוב תופיע, הלוואי תבוא בלי להודיע עוד היום.
The beauty of our army is that it's an organism made up of so many different type of functions, all supporting each other and all supporting the greater cause. Our next speaker is a lone soldier from the UK who is a combat medic in a field surgery unit. She went up north on October 7th and then went down south. Ruth Engel.
Anyway, I'd like to apologise that I don't have anything prepared. I happily, surprisingly, came home from Gaza yesterday. On October 7th, during the morning, I started hearing sirens, and I also work as a combat medic throughout the year. So my phone is always on, and I started hearing the buzzers. And then the phone call came. My mother blessed me, and I went down south. Well, we actually went up north first, because all of our equipment is based up north, and then we took it and we went down south. There are plenty of things that I could say. For me, probably the hardest thing is when you hear on the radio, you hear the doctor talk about the patients, the soldiers are the most urgent and the most critical. and I take them out and we treat them further back. And at the beginning you hear him screaming, telling him what he needs and how many helicopters he needs and what he needs. And then you hear him say, never mind. Just bring the bags instead. As much as the last 11 months I was inside were awful, there was also incredible parts. I am lucky enough to have had the privilege to be the one to call parents and say, everything's okay, your son is with me. I was one of the first soldiers to bring a phone in, and as I would take soldiers out in the ambulance, I would take a phone number and I would call, and I would give the parents the update of what I have. I was then lucky enough to meet soldiers afterwards, sit with them, dish about meals. I was also, unfortunately, at a lot of their funerals. When I drafted, the night before I drafted, a very important man called me, and he told me, you wear the uniform for the 6 million. He called me on October 7th, and he said, forget everything I told you. You wear the uniform for the whole country. There are so many things that have happened over the past year and also before that. And every day we see incredible resilience. I can tell you from personal experience, soldiers that without a doubt should not have survived. There are soldiers we sent in helicopters, quite honestly, just so they would call death at the hospital and we wouldn't have to do it in field. And there are many of those soldiers that I stood with afterwards. And not just alive, walking, talking, incredible things, incredible stories, and also incredible motivation. If you look at the normal army, it happens a lot that a soldier will do anything to go home for a day. Anything. You bribe your medic, you do everything you can. In this war, I had soldiers that we stitched up their heads, and we did it in field, in the middle of the tanks, because they weren't willing to leave their soldiers. We had a soldier who lost his leg and requested the day he woke up in hospital to go back inside. As he said famously, they can roll me in, I'm still going. That soldier has actually returned with a prosthetic. There are plenty of people who take part in. There are the soldiers who do every single part. There are incredible macho to support the people back at home. And then there are all of you. I can tell you as a lone soldier that coming home from war is probably the hardest part of war. I actually volunteered to go back in for Rosh Hashanah because honestly it was easier to be inside. And still I had messages from people I didn't even know offering to do meals, to do everything. So I just really wanted to say a massive thank you to the whole world and know that every single person here plays a part in war.
Just no words to describe these incredible young people. Thank you so much, all of you, for your service. I think as a parent, this is going to be the hardest introduction I'm going to do today. Jen Early, the mother of Binyamin Early, Zichrono Livracha. Jen, with her husband Rob and family, made Aliyah from New York to Ramat Bet Shemesh in 2006. As an exercise psychologist by degree, she generally spends her days seeing clients, instructing exercise classes to women of all ages, including the blind and deaf populations, mountain biking instructor to teens, an EMT volunteer with Magen David Adom. The Early family lives here, and their lives has forever been changed when their son Binyamin fell on Hei Kislev, November 18th. Since then, Jen has been traveling, sharing their family's passionate love for Eretz Israel, Am Israel, and Torat Eretz Israel. Together, they also founded Bet Binyamin, a retreat center in Tzfat aiming to give respite, recovery, and rejuvenation to those directly affected by the war. Jen, please.
I actually feel, hold on, I can't see Ari from here. I feel humbled to be in your presence and in all of your presence up there. All the lone soldiers and Benot Sherut who have left the life of comfort that they knew of to volunteer, to serve, to protect, and to conquer. Have a little influence on the rest of your people back abroad. I'll just share that there are a few things that I wanted to share with you actually. Just coming out of Rosh Hashanah, reading in the Parsha about Akedat Yitzchak, the binding of Isaac. And one can question, who was the test on? Abraham or Yitzchak? We generally say Yitzchak, Isaac, as he was the one who was ready. He knew he was being sacrificed. He knew his life was going to be ending. But really, the Torah says straight out, Ve'elokim nisat Avraham. It was Abraham that was tested. And we know this was his 10th test, the zenith. He reached this peak. He needed no further test afterwards. Because once he was willing to overcome his personal love for his baby, to do the will of God, that's all God needed to see. And as he's ready to perform the sacrifice of his child, the Malach comes and says, don't touch him. Al taslo me'uma, don't do anything. Now I know ki yireh Elokim ata. I know you're God-fearing. And then God then promises him with all these blessings. He's going to be blessed with children as numerous as the sand and as the stars, and he's going to be blessed at the gate of the enemies. He has the enemies. He's going to overcome all the enemies. These are the brachot, the promises that Abraham is blessed. So yes, Yitzchak was willing to moser tatzmo. He was willing to offer himself as a korban. But the test was on the father. The test is on the parents, because the parents have to live with that after the few minutes that Yitzchak was giving himself up, but now Abraham, his father, has to live with this forever. And you see, at the end of the day, every soldier, as you've heard, is ready to give themselves for Am Yisrael at any cost. Because when you believe so passionately in the cause, you'll do anything. And all our soldiers, all our boys and girls believe in protecting our nation and protecting our people, protecting our land. And nothing will go in, there's no blockage. And this is what you've heard. But yes, the family behind, the siblings, the parents, the other children, whoever it is, are the ones that have to live with this forever. But I will also say that we couldn't be prouder. We could not feel more honored as parents to have a son who, even before the war, told us, Mommy and Daddy, if I have to die for Eretz Yisrael, that's what I have to do. It's not necessarily what a parent wants to hear, but it's what every parent should want to hear. Their child's love for the land. So we do. We feel very honored. We feel very proud that if there was going to be a way that God was going to take our boy, this was the way, that he was Zochar, he's privileged to die al Kiddush Hashem and for the people. You know, in Israel, I say this line over, when I go to speak in America, I say, don't worry, in Israel we very much live. The Erlis live. My kids, my husband, we have music, we dance, we have guests, we're doing plenty, we're doing okay. So I say when I go to America, don't worry, in Israel, sometimes we have to be reminded to cry. We have to be reminded to laugh. We get caught up in the news, we hear another funeral and another horror story, and we have to sometimes remember that it's okay to live. And thank God we do. Our country's doing okay. In America and in all the places in Chutz La'aretz, they have to be reminded to cry. They get out of sight, out of mind sometimes, and they need a reminder. But I say about us, we're okay. And I'll just give you a few examples. On Yom HaZikaron, our first Yom HaZikaron now, we learned it's a minhag over here that you're basically sitting Shiva again. Everybody comes to your house to visit. Not in the early house. we decided that I put up a sign on the door saying "Gan planting." Binyamin was a man of the land. He loved working the land. He loved building and planting and growing. And zeu. So on Yom HaZikaron, we went out to a farm that he used to volunteer at, and we planted vineyards and we planted trees. It was actually a vineyard that Binyamin had planted right before the war, literally. Erev Sukkot, Binyamin came home and he said, as he's like filthy, stinky, came home and he said, "Look what I did today, I planted a vineyard." It's not usually what you hear Erev Yontif, but that's Binyamin. So he comes home and he planted this vineyard. He didn't finish planting. He didn't finish the irrigation system. Unfortunately, he thought he was coming back, I guess. So then, on Yom HaZikaron, we went and we planted and we continued his work. And I got to plant my vineyard right next to his that did survive. My Yaakov, you'll see in a minute, he's taking care. Sorry about the granddaughter, by the way. We wanted to bring her, but she's a little screechy, so I apologize. But my Yaakov, the bar mitzvah boy, we're blessed that of Binyamin's belongings that we got back, we also received his tefillin back. And now that is the tefillin that Yaakov received for his bar mitzvah. And he gives life to Binyamin's tefillin every single day. He gets a big hug from his brother. He gets to be wrapped by his brother. And this is what we do. We continue. We pick up and we keep going. And we take Binyamin with us, however we can. And just like in the intro, we have built Beit Binyamin, a retreat center up in Tzfat that Ari helped us fundraise for. And this is a center that we bought this house. It's a very long, wild story, but we bought this house that we thought we were turning into Airbnbs. And ultimately, after this, a few months after Binyamin died, we decided that we're turning it into this. Don't worry about the income that's going to be for the kids. Now we have an income for more important things. A lot of other schar. And so this is what we have done. We've built, and we decided that we're taking our pain and transforming it into how we can help others. Not saying lama, not why did God do this to us, why did God pick Binyamin, why did God pick the Early family, but rather, what can we do with it? How can we help the nation? What can we offer other people? And that's what we do. So if there's, while Beit Binyamin is its own place that is able to help and heal, and it is, we keep seeing the most gorgeous, we see the response after soldiers come and after families come. It's amazing. But really, to us, it represents the idea that you can't keep us down. We're going to come up, and we're going to get up even stronger, and we're going to do even better. And let me tell you something on that note. What would have happened if after October 7th, if on October 8th and October 9th, and we saw how the devastation was beyond, and we would have said, we're done. I can't. We're finished. What would have happened? But we didn't. We picked up as a nation, not just the Early family, the entire nation picked up and said, we're fighting back. And we're fighting even stronger, and the determination has only grown. And we're seeing the results of it. We are one heck of a strong nation. And please God, we will continue to be that way. Two more things. I don't know how long I have, but I just want to say two things about our soldiers. I say about our soldiers, I'm glad you're back because this is for you too. I say about our soldiers that they are King David HaMelech's greatest students. Any quality, every trait that we know of King David, his leadership, his strength, his fighting with the Hashem, with God on their tip of their tongue, fighting with faith, the gentlest, the sweetest, loving parents, loving children, so gentle and able to play on the floor, but when you fight an enemy, you're the fiercest. Nothing will get in your way. These are our soldiers. These are our people. These are who King David has trained. But I'll also tell you one other thing. One of the things that Binyamin wrote a long time ago. On his list of all his different things that he wanted out of life, he made this list when he was 16 years old. And on his list was that he wanted to be a Kohen, a priest. I know, everybody knows the joke. I got it, yeah. We're not Kohanim. We're not changing our DNA. But I wonder, what did he think? What was he thinking? What did he mean by that? And then I spent a lot of time on this, because it just begs the question. But what did he mean that he wanted to be a Kohen? And you can really, in your own minds, think of what it is to be a priest, what it is to be a Kohen Gadol, a high priest, service in the Beit HaMikdash. Someone who realizes he's separate and different than the rest. Someone who realizes they can be a conduit between them and the nation and God. Someone who realizes they are there to serve the nation. A Kohen, can you imagine going into Yom Kippur now, and we're about to have the service of the Yom Kippur, right? Yom Kippur service in the Beit HaMikdash. Please God, for real, real, real. But can you imagine, we'd say this on Yom Kippur, and can you imagine if the Kohen Gadol said, listen, I'm really hungry. I'm a little too tired today. I didn't sleep well last night. My mattress was uncomfortable. The food wasn't so great. I didn't eat enough. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if the Kohen Gadol said, these clothes are uncomfortable? The things I have to hold, these kelim, are a little too heavy. I don't want to die. This is what would happen. But not one Kohen ever said this. Not one Kohen Gadol. I've asked rabbis, look up Gemaras, I don't know it myself. No one's been able to find me. Not one Kohen has ever said, I'm a little too hot, a little too cold, a little too tired, a little too weak, a little too... Lo bali hayom. Because they're not thinking of themselves. They're thinking of the nation. When you're ready to think of the nation, not yourself, none of this matters. You do it anyway. And that's actually where I think everybody here in this room has a big job to do. Sorry, I know you didn't come here for homework, but I'm taking advantage because I got the mic. I think everybody, as we're going into Yom Kippur, the next few days, you guys up there also, I think that if we can learn anything from the soldiers, it's how to be Moser Nefesh for Am Yisrael. It's how to take on something and not something that might be a little uncomfortable, a little difficult, a little inconvenient, and say, but you know what, I'm going to do this for the nation. To say, you know what, I'm going to try and speak a little less negative about this one. I'm going to try and pray a little more, learn a little better, anything, everyone on their own level, another kindness act, another whatever it is. But if there's anything that we can try and do, it's learn from our holy soldiers to say, I'm doing it for the nation, not for myself. I'm going to be a better person. I'm going to be a better piece of Am Yisrael and Klal Yisrael for the nation, not for me. Because the same way they fight frontline, we're fighting behind the scenes. And we're fighting. We're all soldiers in this war. We just don't have the big weapons. Actually, that's not true. I think this is exactly the weapon that we fight with. Our prayers, our learning, our acts of kindness, our charity, our working on ourselves. These are all the ways we fight this war. And every single Jew is fighting this war, and we are behind our soldiers. Be'ezrat Hashem shenizkeh, we should be zocha to be successful in our mission, our holy mission of serving the nation the best way we can, and supporting and following and learning from our holy soldiers on the front lines. And by that, please God, we will be worthy of a beautiful, glorious year for the entire nation.
I don't think there's a nation on earth that knows how to take so much pain and turn it into strength, into healing, into growth, and into development like the Jewish people and the Jewish nation. You know, in one of the worst days I had the whole year, a friend of mine said to me, I said, what are we going to do? And she said to me, what do you mean, what are we going to do? You built a country after a Holocaust. You can do anything. And so people like Jen give us a lot of strength that we can do anything. Thank you so much, Jen. Now we're going to have Yaakov, your son, singing saying Yizkor, followed by Kel Melech, followed by Tfilat Chayalim, followed by Hatikva, and I ask all of you to stand, please, until the end of Hatikva. Okay, 1 second. No problem. I forgot that at the beginning of this event, I was supposed to tell you what we should do in case there was a siren. Well, we're almost at the end, so we hope there aren't any more sirens. Thank you, Yaakov.
יזכור אלוהים את נשמות בניו גיבוריו, חיילי צבא ההגנה לישראל שנפלו במלחמות ישראל בפעולות ההגנה, תגמול וביטחון, ובעת מילוי תפקידם ונשמות כל לוחמי המחתרת וחטיבות הלוחמים במערכות העם, שחירפו נפשם למות על קדושת השם, ובעזרת אלוהי מערכות ישראל הביאו לתקומת האומה והמדינה ולגאולת הארץ ועיר האלוהים. מנשרים גלו ומאריות גברו ומהחלצם לעזרת העם וירבו דמם הטהור את רגבי אדמת קדשנו. זכר עקדתם ומעשי גבורתם לא יסופו מאיתם לעולמים. תהיינה נשמותינו צרורות בצרור החיים עם נשמות אברהם, יצחק ויעקב ועם שאר גיבורי ישראל וקדושיו שבגן עדן עד עולם אמן.
El Malei Rachamim, Shochein Bamromim, Hamsei Menucha Nachona Al Kanfei Ashchina, Bamalot Kedoshim Utorim Kezohar Rakia, Mashirim Es Nishmot, Kedoshim Naflu Shalchul Olamam, Bavur Shanachtim Mitpalim Biad Askart Nishmatam, לכן בעל הרחמים יסתיריהם בתיתר כנפיו לעולמים בצרור החיים את נשמתם. אדוני הוא נחלתו וינוח בשלום על משכבם ונאמר אמן.
מי שברך אבותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב הוא יברך את חיילי צבא ההגנה ועד מדבר מצרים ומן הים הגדול עד לבוא ההר הקדוש ברוך הוא ישמור ויציל את חיילינו מכל צרה וצוקה, מכל נגע ומחלה, וישלח ברכה ורווחה והצלחה בכל מעשי ידיהם, ידבר שונאינו תחתיהם, ויעטרם בכתר ישועה ובעטרת ניצחון, ויקוים בהם המקרא. כי אדוני
Thank you all for joining us this evening. We will prevail. We will come out stronger, as the Jewish people has always done. Thank you for being here. Keep your prayers with our soldiers. Keep your prayers with our hostages. And I will ask you all, please, to leave that way rather than the way that you came in. Thank you again. Thank you all. God bless you.
Downstairs, reception area. You said when we came in.